Hello friends, I'm Ivan and you are with UFO Disclosure Bulgaria. Today I'm going to introduce you to very interesting people, and you will be my guest in Darby Ranch. If you've never been there, I'm telling you that this is the very nice, beautiful place, or you can call it the Wonderland, because the trees, the grass, the bushes, it's amazing. It's green, and when you go in the ranch, you looks like you're going to some special place. That was my impression when I visit Darby Ranch. I met and I talked with Michael. He's the owner of the ranch. Also, in the video, you'll see Tanya, you'll see Dominic and Amanda. They're going to share with us them impressions, their testimony, their experiences with the meditation and practicing C5 protocols in Darby Ranch, and what they saw, what they feel. So I believe that will be interesting for you, and please don't forget to subscribe and to share with friends, because my mission is to my mission is to make all these videos and to try to help people to wake up and to start thinking a little bit differently, something like to wake up the conscious and knew, or to find out that we're not the only one civilization in this planet, in this universe. There's a lot of more. We have a lot of friends, star friends, with friends from another dimension who is visiting our planet, and they want to make a friends of us. They would like to help us. They would like to give us a new technology for healing, to heal our bodies from all these illnesses, and to receive the knowledge for one new world.
Добрый день. Доброй ночи. Sí, очень хорошо. Спасибо большое. Oh, this has been a special place for a long time. What's special now about it is the people that come here to share the practice of CE5. And the experiences we have here with extraterrestrials and non-human intelligences.
I think I was probably 4 or 5 when I remember my first experience. I used to have beings come into my room, and I always thought it was my imagination, because of course that's what my parents told me. I had a big imagination. I was looking at dolls and that sort of thing, and it was about 10, 15 years ago, I finally went to a psychic, because I had...
I was raised in a very type of open to extraterrestrials type of household. I wasn't ever told that, you were strange or crazy if you saw anything like that. It wasn't, so I was open to it. I had seen things in the car, like big lit up orbs over clouds and weird streaks that go through the sky in a way that an airplane wouldn't. But it really wasn't until later in life, after I started meditating and
So I think one thing that it's incredibly important, I think, for people to know, and some of the other members that are here have kind of touched on this as well, is really speaking to, for those of you that are not necessarily ready, if you're not feeling ready or you have fear or anxiety or anything like that kind of coming up whenever you're thinking about these entities, if there's any sort of fear residing within you, it's not necessarily going to come through for you. So their intention is not to scare you or to bring fear for you. They are so very much here with the purest of intentions, with love and connection.
For 3.5 years for the CE5, but this is the 5th anniversary of my reinitiation into contact by a large orb that visited me after a long night of studying the Tao. And I had a download experience during that time. In this same, I call it an orb, but this same entity I and 50 or 60 other people saw on January 19th, 1979, a long time ago in the Berkshire Mountains in Massachusetts. It was the same light impulse, same pulsation, same intelligence, and it's the 5th anniversary. Yeah, it's October 3rd, and it's 2020, and it was 2015 when the orb came.
So it looks like this C5 for you is like something casual. It's not something extraordinary.
Yeah, now it's gotten rather casual because what we have managed to do here at Darby Ranch is to democratize CE5 and demystify it so that it's easy for everybody to do. And the people that try to put too many rules on this are wrong. It's not an esoteric. You don't need a lot of things through hurdles to jump and practices to go through to be able to do this. All you really need to do is have an open heart. It's easier when you have friends that you share your heart and your love with, and you focus your attention in the middle of your circle or middle of the other person that's joined you. You circulate your energy, you focus it in the middle, and then you send it on up. And then you ask for contact, and it's really that simple, and it happens. And
many people in Bulgaria would like to have encounter or CE5 encounters, but they don't know how to do that. Can you give us some, not the rules, but direction maybe?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, if you'd like, I have a protocol. And you can get the protocol by emailing me at darbyranchce5@gmail.com. I'll send you our protocol. It's a protocol from 2017. There's still a lot of rules in that protocol, and what we've managed to do here is break a lot of them and still have a wonderful contact experience with friends and have actual contact. There's never a month goes by where we don't have contact. Visual contact with extraterrestrials, non-human intelligences, visual energy fields that come into our proximity. And tonight, we're lucky. This is kind of an impromptu CE5. We get together once a month, and they're usually anywhere between 20 to 35 people that will come to a CE5. And then we engage in a short meditation together, invocation, and then we make contact. It's really, really wonderful. And what I have to say is, this is a means, the protocol that I helped develop was one that was based on forgiveness and on gratitude. And they're two sides of the same coin. If you have engaged in forgiveness, then you've freed up your heart, and you don't carry the karma into it. So you're coming very innocently into this, and to have gratitude, that's the price you pay to have the abundance that is given to you as a consequence. And I'm talking spiritual abundance as a consequence of contact, because in every contact, true contact experience, you'll feel your heart chakra engorge, and then there'll be contact. And people ask me all the time, how do I know it's not a craft that the Army has put up there, the Air Force? It's real simple. When you see one of these kinds of crafts, your heart doesn't make the connection. But when ET shows up, whether it's a craft or whether it's an energy, your heart immediately gets gravitated to it, and it joins with whatever function is going on. So you know in your heart that you've actually made contact, and that's the way to tell.
And through the years, I've put things together, and I have my own theories about who they are and how I relate to them and why they visited me when I was small. I thought everybody had visitors. I thought everybody saw orbs. I thought everyone heard voices. And I learned very young not to answer questions. In fact, I have lied to therapists before, because if someone can't relate to you and you tell them the truth, it's not good for your existence. You're an outcast, you're crazy. And then as I began to connect the dots of my life, I began to realize my grandmother must have had similar experiences. And she was always giving me an open door to express what I had experienced. And she would even tell me, "You little monkey, you were in my room last night." Well, we lived 620 miles away. So we had this little secret knowing that I had the ability to leave my body. When I was in an accident once, I had a medical test, and they said I had an unidentified bright object in my brain. And I don't know how you get those, but I've often wondered if I'm not somehow monitored. I did ask that the monitoring device be taken away at some point if it was in my highest and best interest, because I didn't want to be tracked or studied by AI or picked up at an airport. You know, I mean, we live in very rapidly technologically changing times. And I'm not saying that I've lived my life in fear. I've just lived my life very privately, very quietly. And I really believe that I was brought to Florida for a reason. And I believe now, knowing that we all carry a different intensity or vibration or frequency of light. And I think that sometimes our ET brothers and sisters, our family, star family, moves us from one place to another. And I used to say I had a gypsy spirit, but I really think the truth is that I've been nudged. But I've seen orbs, I've seen craft, I film things sometimes at the ranch. Sometimes I will see things, sometimes I will just get what I call a nudge to film. And then when I do, something shows up, and I always call Mike because of his extensive experience, and he'll confirm what I'm filming.
We are all, and again, this is my opinion, the way I see it, it's my perception. The way you see the world, your perception is the world that you live in. I mean, because your brain just sees this stuff, and the way you see it, choose to see it, because you can see something as positive or negative. It's your choice, and that's the world you live in. And everything just came together as we're all one. I have the same type of view that Tanya does, and we're just all living here trying to make different experiences. And if I had to identify with anything, it would be a soul. I identify with all these people. Even now, when someone cuts me off in the road, and I'm upset, and then I realize that, I don't know why they did that, but, I need to accept it. I'm very grateful, that I wasn't in an accident, and I just go on with my time. And the more and more that I kind of have this type of view, the more wonderful things happen to me, the more just positive things come out of nowhere. And one of the things that this happened is after all of this started coming together, then I learned about CE5, and that was the opening to that. And I was looking to meet groups of people who were like-minded, and I stumbled across Mike's CE5 group, and we started coming out here, and just being around like-minded people is so relaxing. It's such a nice, great feeling. You just like fit right in. And then you go out, meditate under the stars, and I've seen quite a few just extraordinary things out in the field. One time, and the thing is when you see something, you feel it in your heart. You know what you're seeing is something that's not just a shooting star or an airplane with a broken light or something like that. I mean, that is the one thing that I can add to this conversation. I mean, there's not a doubt. When I just...
quieting your mind, meditating on it, opening your heart and being open to them showing really can be enough to bring them into your awareness. And it's so transformational to have that level of, I can only describe it as an exposure or an awareness beyond that which you have ever imagined up to that point. So there's kind of what you can process and understand from what you think it will feel like, or what your perception is prior to it happening. But once you've had that level of connection, and as it's already been said here, how do you tell the difference between, is it something that is human created, or is it something that is truly either interdimensional or ET or something of that nature? And it really comes down to your feeling of it when you are connected to it. If it's a man-made object, you're not going to feel that pull in your soul and your heart when you are seeing that for the first time, or feeling that, or just it coming into your awareness or your presence. And when it does, it is instantaneously life-changing. You can't, once you have connected and felt what that kind of universal connectedness and universal love shared between you and some entity that you don't necessarily know what it is. You do completely, absolutely know what it is on a soul level, but from your 3D human existence, that kind of gets veiled. But once you have reconnected to what that is, there's no going back and forgetting what that feels like. So it really does kind of blow the doors off of what your perception is of not only your reality in this existence, but what is really out there. That it.
Way to tell.
So after the first encounter, you develop kind of a relationship with these visitors?
Yes, and you can with all the visitors. If you don't want to maintain the contact, you just simply ask them to leave. I don't want the contact anymore. It was nice, but I don't need it. And I've never done that. Every contact I've made, I have kept. And their ability to understand us is far greater than the ability of our artificial intelligence to find out about us. And they really know your heart of hearts. They really know what you're thinking. And it's not difficult for them. They're very, very much further advanced than we are at an intellectual level, at a spiritual level. And that's why CE5 is so important, because it's not politics, it's not religion that's going to save humanity. It's going to be the spiritual outcome that we get as a consequence of contact. So that's kind of what's going on here.
Did we have to worry about when we have this encounter?
No, not at all. I'm in the thousands at this point of time of encounters. And none of the encounters have been negative. And there are people that have accused me saying, yeah, you're calling in the devil. But it's exactly the opposite. It's like we're using love and compassion, and we're projecting it, and then what we're getting back is those other entities that share love and compassion as an operating system for their civilizations, or for whatever they got going on, and they respond to it, and they come and they visit.
But I always know when they're here, and Scouts Honor, he and I were outside, and I was getting some snacks to bring in for the group, and I was holding my key out away from my body, and like this, and I was sitting in the car, and my car locked on me, and I was like, oh yeah, they're here. I've been locked out of my car and asked for help, and my car pops open. It's just, it's a way of life for me, really. Sometimes it's very funny, the things that happen. I mean, they have a huge sense of humor, but they're always with me. And when I come out here, we just all get together, and there's actual manifestations that we share, but we're never alone. And if people want to have an experience, an encounter, I think that if they set their intention to do so, I used to, when I was a child, lay out and stargaze. If they'll just look at the magnificence of creation and increase their faith and trust and drop their fear, because I don't believe that our ET family, I don't think they're going to do anything that's going to ever frighten anyone. That's not their intention. And I believe that people who have all of these horrible experiences about being abducted, I think it's quite possible that they were abducted by our own military. Our military is very aware. We've probably been in space since 1918. There are all kinds of technologies, all kinds of things that we do not know about. And I think a lot of times people do see craft, and they do see experiences. And there's a little rumor that people dress up in Hollywood, and we've got a lot of different types of technology that will actually make people think that they've been abducted. And there's a reason, I suppose, for fear, because it makes people believe that we're separate and that we're alone. And we're not separate, we're not alone, we're all one big consciousness, just having different level of experience. That's my belief.
One time, there was a new lady who joined us from Orlando, and it was funny, and she said, ooh, do you see that? And then, could you imagine the entire sky, whoops, and I just look, and I immediately, as I look up from my meditation, I see exactly right in my view, 2 stars come together like this. They spin around each other 360 degrees in a perfect, like 2 swimmers doing synchronized swimming. And when they came back around like this, they spread out, and then this one disappeared, and this one just hung in the sky. And there was other times where, and it's a lot of times it comes where people are they want it to happen, and they're full of like a love and an excitement. We had another visitor that came in from Miami, and I was kind of like paired up with her, and we were watching the sky, and it happened to be a really crazy and cloudy night. I think it may have rained or something. We ended up being on kind of like the driveway basketball court type of thing, and so there was a big barn next to us and trees, so our view of the sky was really limited. And I hadn't had a lot of expectations that anything special would happen. And lo and behold, I saw some of the most amazing things. I saw a streak in my field of view, right? So picture it coming out of my eyes. It's like this thick, like the size of my hand, right? Going slowly across the top of the barn, over the barn. And the path of light that it took hung in the sky for like 10 to 15 seconds. And then another time that night, and the new Miami girl, she's like, oh my God, she saw it too. So when I go, someone says, did you see that? And then you generally hear 2 or 3 people say, oh my God, I saw that too. and some people don't. Maybe that one wasn't destined for them, because there's plenty of times where, I'm meditating and I'm trying my best. I've seen plenty. I don't have to see more. I know they're there, as I'm not convincing myself any further. I know we're all together. So, I'm happy just to meditate and say, hey guys, come bring my friend something to see, because I know you're there, and it happens. And there's times where it's a running joke and I don't see anything, because I all see them in my mind's eye. And I pat myself on the back for it, but it has nothing to do with me, because I'm actually you, in my opinion, and we're all everything. And it's just so amazing, the things that you see when you just open yourself up. Now,
than what you could have imagined just a moment before, having that sort of connection to, source, or, just understanding that there's so much more out there. So that's probably one of the biggest things I would say. If you're scared, there's not too much reason to be scared, because they're not going to show up. Their intention is not to startle you or harm you or anything. They come to really have that connection with us. And as has been said so many times here, we're all one. We are all souls in the infiniteness of the universe. It just happens to be that those of us that are sitting here physically are part of, having this 3D human experience. And to some degree, that being in this existence is the illusion that there is separation. In the reality of it, there is not. And we're all connected, and we're just opening up the awareness of our minds to connect to all of the other entities and souls and everything that are existing around us all the time. They're not ever not here. It's just within our limited perception of what we have in this reality, to be able to perceive them as being there or not. So really, at that point at which you have that little inkling of validation within what you can perceive as, here it's something you can never turn around and go back from. It's life-changing, transformational, next level kind of stuff. So for those that are open to it, go outside, sit down, meditate.
You almost answered my next question. Does this Close Encounters of Fifth Kind change your life some way?
I'd say it changes your life in every way. It's kind of, so let's say that imagine you have blinders on, or you have a veil on, or you have something that is blocking your perception of, what's ultimately going around you. If you're, let's say you have blinders on this way, so you can't see what's going on in the periphery, you can only see straight ahead. Well, what if, the most amazing things are going on around you to the sides, but you have absolutely no idea it's there, simply because you have the blinders on looking straight forward? What the point at which those are removed, you can't ever imagine that all of this amazing things are not around you. And you would never say, I can see all of this beauty and all of this love and all of these, fascinating things occurring all around me. But wait, let me just reach and put those blinders back on. No, you can't go back from it. You can't unknow what you now know. I think it kind of instantaneously changes your life forever from that point forward.
May I ask her a question?
Yeah.
Has it changed your perception on life, death, and truth?
Yes, to all three.
Okay. How so?
I would say on both life and death, I would say you almost immediately realize that time is an illusion. Like, there is no beginning, there is no end. What we are perceiving as a beginning and an end is really just this human element of it. But there are so many, and I would say there are multiple timelines, but time in and of itself is an illusion that we're just sitting in. So there is no real death. It's all just a continuation. And because we are all one, we're just infinitely learning from these experiences that we're having, and being all intertwined into that, that one broad tapestry. Each person's experience is being connected to every other soul all at one time. So I think being in the 3D, having a human experience, but then when you have that connection to ET or entities or source or something that's outside of this tangible thing that we're all in, it instantaneously opens you up to all of the possibility. Because now this is not all there is. Like, you can never go back to thinking this is it, because it's clearly not. So just, in that very instant, it 100% shifts. And I think that the longer you continue down the path, and I mean, there's no getting off the path once you're on it, like, let's be real. But the longer you continue down it, the more expansive you realize it is. So at first you're like, oh my God, like something in the sky just responded to me. Like, there's instant validation that it's not just me, I'm not just crazy. Like, it was there. And especially in a group like CE5, where there's other people that can say, yes, I saw that too, adds to that level of, okay, this is really happening. This is real from what we call real here. But then the more things you see happen, because ET and entities and all the things, they don't just show in one way. They show in a multitude of ways. It could be a flashbulb. It could be, tons of different ways have been described here this has been very brief for the vast number of things we've seen here at the ranch. But you realize things keep happening. And I feel like the more you're open to it and the longer you're kind of comfortable in that space, the more you realize that it never leaves you. The more you're open to realizing there's always stuff all around you, all the time, always happening. And it gets more and more expansive beyond just, some people, maybe if you're just starting to dabble or just starting your interest, you might be thinking like, oh, it's just, little like green aliens flying around in craft or whatnot. But there's so many different things that could very well be showing. It's not just one set thing that will come through, or one particular way it's going to look. It can affect you in so many different ways, and the longer you're on that path, the more infinite it opens up to. And sometimes you're like, okay, well, this has to be all there. Like, okay, now I've got it. And then 10 minutes later you're like, well, now I had no idea that was just this infinite little piece, and I thought it was everything, and there's this whole other level of vastness beyond it. So yeah, has it changed my life? I'm gonna go with yes. Yes, it has changed my life and my perception of life as a whole, and my perception of death, because there is no death. There's only death of this meat suit that we're sitting in, but that you don't need. You only need it because you're here physically, but otherwise you don't. Your soul's totally still rocking and doing its thing.